Let us now look at the different ways organizations are structured and also why this matters. Think about this. Your structure is like the foundation of a building, your organizational structure. You can think of it as the foundation of a building, no matter how strong your ideas are. And when I say ideas, you have I'm talking about your strategies. No matter how strong those strategies are, no matter how well you have prepared for it, but if your structure doesn't support them, it will collapse, right? Foundation is the most important thing while you're building a home, right? Doesn't matter your elevation, doesn't matter what all things you've planned in interior, doesn't matter. If your foundation is not strong, it is going to collapse. It is just like that when it comes to organization design. And that is why we say structure always follows strategy. Whenever an organization shifts its strategy, whether aiming for stability or growth, its structure also needs to adapt accordingly. Otherwise, what's going to happen? It's going to collapse. Now, I know if when it comes to arranging our home, we don't keep on changing our foundation, right? But we know organizations, unlike our homes, are quite dynamic. They're quite flexible. And if they are not, that is when it will collapse, right? So when your environment forces you to change directions, change strategies, your structure has to follow. That is why I said structure follows strategy. Okay. Now, the basis for evolving different types of organizational structures lies in the organization's need to adapt to the changes in their environment. Organizations that are operating in rapidly changing environments will have to adapt to a more organic form of structure. When we say organic, we mean a more flexible or decentralized approach. Whereas if you are working in a more stable kind of environment, then you can go for mechanistic ones. Mechanistic structures are rigid, they are hierarchical. Okay. And one thing that we have to note about organization structure is that as environmental factors change, organizations have to evolve their structure in order to better adapt to these changes. Because change is the only thing that is constant. Change is the only constant in the world. It applies to organizations as well. Maybe today our organizations can function in this rigid and hierarchical manner, but as time progresses, slight changes become imminent, slight changes become unavoidable. You cannot live exactly as it is. Think about our government organizations itself, government departments, right? More or less, they are the same since independence. But are they exactly the same? No. Right now, we have digitalization. Right now, we can do many things that otherwise required us to go visit an office at our home itself using internet, right? Paying land taxes, paying current bill, electricity bill, all these things are now possible sitting at home. But earlier, we had to go to one of the offices and get the payments done. So even though government offices are still bureaucratic, they still have rigid hierarchical structures, some changes have happened. That is why I said or environmental factors will change. Organization will have to evolve, right? Coming to organic or flexible organizational forms, they emphasize on decentralization, communication channels, adaptability. We have two organizational theorists, Burns and Stoker, whose research work highlighted that organizations can change its structure in relation to its environment. And this belief has led to the emergence of modern, horizontal, boundaryless virtual organizations which prioritize flexibility, adaptability to change, creativity, innovation, knowledge, ability to overcome our environmental uncertainties. There are a lot of organizations that work 100% remote these days, right? And that is possible because those organizations are more flexible. They have a flexible, decentralized structure which allows them to operate like that. Understanding the basis of evolving different types of organizational structures is crucial in selecting the most appropriate design for our organization's needs. Remember, there is no one size fits all, right? So, we have to understand our organization structure we have to understand how it is going, where, how our environment is doing, so that we can decide the appropriate structure. We can decide if the structure needs to change or not, all these things. It allows organizations to remain competitive by adapting their structure to match the demands of the environment. By examining the advantages and disadvantages of various organizational designs, organizations can make informed decisions about which structure can best suit their specific situation or the environment that they are working in. So let us start by looking at the most basic forms of organization design. What are they? Formal and informal organization. Now, what is a formal organization? Or when can you call an organization a very formal one? The best example of a formal organization is a government office. It has clearly defined roles. People or the staff working over there, each staff has clearly defined responsibilities and authority. It follows a set of rules and procedures to ensure there is efficient communication, coordination, control with a very clear chain of command, right? Whereas an informal organization arises naturally from social interactions among employees. It lacks official rules or hierarchy, and leadership is based on personal influence rather than a formal position. There are two more terms that we have to understand before we can move on to the various organizational structures. Okay, and that is centralization and decentralization. Centralization concentrates the decision making authority at the top level of management. It will ensure that there is consistency and control, as seen in military style structures. However, it can slow responses, it can overburden top leaders, and reduce employee engagement. Just imagine if everything has to have the approval of the king is going to have his desk piled, right? So, right now, there is no king, let's say the head of the department. He's got to have his desk always piled, right? Whereas decentralization distributes the authority across various levels. They empower lower managers and employees and encourages innovation, quicker local decisions, and greater involvement. But at the same time, it demands strong coordination and skilled managers and may even cause inconsistency in customer service or policies as well. Most organizations use a blend of both centralization and decentralization because completely centralized is going to be very difficult. As I said, the higher managers are going to have their desks always piled. Completely decentralized means again problem only because there will not be a, what you can say, controlling is going to be absolutely horrible. Controlling is going to be a nightmare if it is 100% decentralized. So that is why most organizations that we see around us will have a, what you can say, a mix of both centralization and decentralization. For instance, let's say Unilever or P&G, Procter and Gamble, they, or any organization for that matter, uh, it will all combine centralized strategic control with decentralized operational flexibility to manage the complexity across their different regions. Now, now that you have a basic understanding of what is our formal organizations, informal organization, what is centralization, decentralization, and all those, now we can move on to the traditional organizational designs. Okay, these models, these traditional organizational design models, are still followed by many organizations, especially those that operate in relatively stable environments. One of the most basic models in this is the line structure. The line structure follows a very clear vertical chain of command. Authority always flows from the top to the bottom in a line. Okay. Each level reports directly to the upper one, and the structure allows for quick decision making and a strong sense of control. But the problem is it lacks flexibility and offers very little room for specialization, making it most suitable if your business is very small or organizations have a very rigid command system like the military and all. Let's say you run a shop, you are the owner, and you have one guy who helps you with the things in the shop. Definitely, you will want that person to report to you to tell you if anything happened out of the ordinary, and according to what you say, that person will have to do it, right? That is what is expected. But rather, if this person starts behaving on his own, taking decisions on his own, you most likely will fire that guy, right? Yeah, so that is line structure for you. Next comes the line and staff structure. Okay, so here it builds on this line model by adding staff functions which serve in an advisory or a supportive role. While line departments do continue to make the core decisions, the staff units will provide specialized knowledge or assistance. This enhances the decision quality and operational efficiency, but at the same time, it can lead to friction between the line and staff roles due to overlapping responsibilities or unclear authority boundaries. This structure works well in larger organizations that have multiple departments, which require both direction as well as expert support. Another important or widely used model is the functional structure. This is where organization is divided based on specialized functions like marketing, finance, human resources, operations, like that. There will be various departments, each handling one set of activities. This promotes deep expertise, improved efficiency, and clear career paths within each department. But the downside of such a structure is that it can lead to the formation of organizational silos, reducing the collaboration and communication across departments. Like, oh, we are finance department, we will not do it, or we will not coordinate with the sales department. Something like that, if happens, then it is a problem. The structure is most effective for organizations in stable industries which can benefit from standardized processes and operational efficiency. As organizations expand and diversify their operations, they will often transition from these traditional models to uh, more adaptive structures that can support growth as well as cross functional collaborations. So, such models include the product or project structure model, the matrix structure, hybrid structure, and the divisional structure. So, let us look at these structures one by one. The product or the project structure is organized around products or individual products or services or even specific projects. This approach ensures dedicated focus and accountability for each offering, allowing for a quicker decision making and tailored management. But it can also lead to duplication of resources and at times even internal competition between units. Whereas the matrix structure Whereas the matrix structure integrates two lines of reporting, typically to both a functional manager and a product or a project manager. And this setup will optimize resource utilization and can foster greater interdepartmental collaboration. Despite its benefits, it can also introduce confusion because of the dual authority lines, making accountability and communication a little bit more complex. This matrix structure is not new to you. We have studied it in earlier semesters, so it is the same thing here also. The hybrid structure combines these functional and divisional designs, enabling the organization to benefit from specialization while remaining agile in response to the market changes. It offers flexibility and adaptability, and managing such a structure can become challenging due to the need for coordination across multiple reporting relationships. Coming to the last structure, that is divisional structure, it segments the organizations based on the products or services or geographical locations, with each unit functioning as a semi-autonomous entity. This allows for an improved focus and responsiveness to specific market needs. However, it may also lead to inefficiencies through the role duplication and limited economies of scale. And in response to the fast changing and complex business environment that we have today, many organizations are adopting a few set of modern organizational designs. These designs emphasize adaptability, technology integration, and a more people-centric approach. They are task force model, network organization, virtual organization, boundaryless organization structure, and inverted pyramid. Let's quickly look at these before we wind up the unit. A task force model involves forming a temporary goal-oriented team to address a specific project or a specific challenge. These teams will bring together individuals from various departments, and therefore it fosters innovation and targeted problem solving. While task forces are efficient, cross-functional and all, they may face challenges in reintegrating members back into their original roles, and sometimes it can also lead to resource conflicts as well. The network organization operates to a central control or central coordinating unit, which manages the activities across external partners, affiliates, or decentralized units. This structure allows businesses to scale quickly and adapt to changing conditions by leveraging outside expertise. However, it can reduce the organization's control over operations and potentially compromise quality standards. A virtual organization, on the other hand, functions without a centralized physical presence, relying heavily on digital platforms to manage operations and collaborate across locations. So, this setup offers significant cost saving, enabling access to a global talent pool also. But virtual models can experience difficulties, especially in communication, coordination, and cultural alignment among the dispersed teams. A boundaryless organization seeks to remove internal silos and hierarchical restrictions, promoting open communication, rapid decision making, and innovation. While this approach encourages agility and teamwork, it may lead to unclear responsibilities and challenges in maintaining coordination and accountability. Lastly, the inverted pyramid structure. It reverses the traditional hierarchy by placing customers and frontline employees at the top. So, this is a model which emphasizes the importance that these frontline employees or customers have in value creation. So, this model empowers teams and sharpens the customer focus. But it also runs the risk of weakening the leadership oversight and creating indecision, especially in the strategic matters. Okay, so these are some of the common or some of the important or types of organizational designs that you need to be aware of. Okay, so I hope this session was useful to you. Until I meet you in the next session, thank you so much for tuning into Anu's Classroom. Happy learning.